something I learned how, like I said, to do things. Our people have a talent on working hard, but the only one thing they don't know how to be honest. Work hard, work smart,
Mhm.
and be honest. That's a lot of our people, and I know why, because they never touched money before. When they start to make money, they don't know how to use money. There's one thing I never have money. You know that, but we did what is enough for us.
Mhm.
Only the main thing is how to be honest and work. And you know how I teach you guys how to work. And I'm glad that you guys, uh, the way you guys are. And that's a blessing for our family.
Mhm.
We Money don't buy everything.
No, 100%. A quick question, Dad. So you come to America. You're going to Utah Tech. Um, you start reading about the history of Tonga. You start to realize, hey, some things are not lining up. Um, when and then I want to dig in a little bit when you meet mom, right? I want to talk about that and going to Tonga. Maybe let's do that. Let's talk about before we get into you getting into to basically committing your life, because it's been a life work of yours, um reestablishing our true history in Tonga, and not just Tonga but Polynesia, because that was one country at one point, all of Polynesia. um you meet mom. um you have your first four kids, still in Provo. It's I'm born in November. We moved as a family back in the early 85, like January, February. What was the thinking? What was the process? What did people think? Obviously, everybody is coming to America. You guys decide to do it reverse, kind of doing it backwards, but kind of give the thought process on why go back to Tonga, and what people were thinking, and what you and mom were thinking, and what that whole process and decision. What was that like?
You know, we went to Tonga first.
Yeah, I
That's
wasn't born then, right? A year
Yeah,
before.
it was Lee, the
Lee was the
youngest.
baby. Yeah.
And when we went to Tonga, and when we come back, your mom uh, like to go. She accept it to move to Tonga.
Was this an idea that you expressed to her that said, "Hey, I'm kind of interested in moving back to Tonga. We'll go check it out." Like what was the conversation with mom at that time?
She wanted to it.
Okay.
And maybe you hear the story when I talk about it. And all my friend in they think I am crazy to move back to Tonga.
Hmm. Yeah, because everybody's doing the opposite, right?
Yeah,
It's everybody's coming to America. This is what, early 1980s. Um, yeah. So what was that like? So it was like, if people are saying don't do it, but what was your thoughts? What were your thinking? What was the logic behind? Was it just a feeling, or you had an idea, or kind of just help people understand why you were doing something that everybody's saying is backwards? Doesn't make sense. You're making the wrong choice.
The thing is, I believe there's something you can learn from Tonga you never learn it anywhere else.
Hmm.
And your mother was crazy enough to believe me. And everybody, we were not that many in Provo then. They-
Tongans, right?
yes, but we moved. The way my life is, when I want to do something, I don't care what other people said. They have their own life
Yeah.
to
They're
run.
not going to live your life for you.
Yeah. And we went to Tonga and we learned something more from Tonga than anywhere else. I, like I said about the history, I come over here to learn how to weld and bounce the hammer to learn how to build houses and something like that. I came over here, the more I read it, the more I disagree with all the foreigners about the history of Tonga.
Hmm.
And it's something I never thought about it before, but lately I thought about it. I was sending here to work on Tongan history. I was not sending here to learn how to do the trade, the tech, because I came from Tonga. I already make money from farming.
Yeah. And you already know that, you already understand the concept of hard work, organization, how to run a business, right? I mean, obviously, you did it in Tonga, you did it again in America. Was that part of the reason of going back to Tonga? Maybe was, I understand my mission, so to speak, is you understand that the history of your people is being taught incorrectly, that people are trying to rewrite the history of your people. What made you, can you, at what point did you realize this is my role and my job, and to dedicate your life to restoring this history and making sure it's not lost?
I, like I said, in my life, when I want to do something all my life,
Hmm.
I don't care what other people said, I do it. And the way my life handled it when I grow up, start from grade school, I make my own money,
Hmm.
and come over here. I don't think there is anybody in any Pacific Island come to America, come in 75 and 76, become a homeowner. Eh?
Yeah.
And everything I do, I don't do it for what the people said or what they think. I do it how I feel. And I did my best. And we know that when we get to Tonga, we don't have money to build anything in Tonga.
Hmm.
We grow up, and I mention it sometimes. Your mother only make one mistake to marry me. To marry me, that's all you do: work, work, work.
Yeah, if you ask her today, she still says, "Yeah, it's a mistake."
But few people they said I make a mistake, and they talk to me later. Sorry, I say something to you. Maybe you know it, but because they see our family, you guys are doing better in education than all the people stay in America. But you are different in your heart. What you learn from Tonga, you love Tonga, and all of you guys are doing really good. Academic and everything you do. I'm proud of you guys.
Mm,
And I know my parents proud of me because money can't get everything.
no, not only it can't get everything, but it can definitely not get what's most important.
And, and I look back at my life, I don't think I make a mistake. I did what I supposed to do. I supposed not to use the hammer and the nail
Hmm.
to be a carpenter or welding or engine
Mechanic, yeah.
mechanic, anything. I was sent here to work on our history. No one can do it
So,
because
so when you came and you understood that, did you go and I mean, how did you commit? Like, I mean, because obviously, I mean, how long have you been doing this, Dad? What
uh,
year do you say this is the year I started to say I'm going to do this work? What year would you say?
my whole life,
Your whole life.
yeah, like I said, I learned. I always talk about it. The two most important school of Tonga, tradition school, Kariloa and Tanoa.
Yeah,
That's where I learned from. And I can, you guys know that I can do anything when I want to do it because I don't like to do halfway job. I always try to do
your
everything.
best. Yeah.
And
Okay. And so in your mind, when you decided to do this, I mean, did you talk to your dad and say, "Hey, this is what I want to do"? Did you, how did you go about saying or kind of making sure that you're going to take this path in your life to really dedicate to it? Because that's really what you've dedicated your life to is this work. And I can tell you right now, that's one thing you can definitely say that I don't know anyone else that can say this, that for what, 40, 60 years, 40 years, your your life was dedicated to obtaining knowledge, verifying it, and tracking down um, the information, and that was your a primary goal that you had. Did you reach out to anyone for advice, or how did you go about doing it? How did you go about starting this work, like officially? You mean, I agree, you've been prepared your whole life, right? Your whole life you've been prepared for this, and I believe this is what you were sent to do. um but how did you go about saying, hey, okay, this is it, like I'm not gonna go and pursue other things that would distract me. I must choose work that will allow me to do this. Did you ask for advice for someone? Because that's what I would do. Is I gotta go talk to people, get some advice, as I prepare to dedicate a lot of my time, energy, and money to that work.
I, like I said, I didn't think about it until lately. I was sent here to America to work on our history because no one's stupid enough to do what I did. That's all I do, keep doing it, pay the ticket, come here, go to Tonga, you guys in Tonga, but I make the right move. You guys grow up and go to school in Tonga. Start from the bottom. Eh?
Hmm.
I I never, I, in 1986, see, I print the first book, 83 or 84, before I went and seek for advice.
What was that book? So everybody kind of understands what's the name of that book, and what did it talk about before you share the story on who you went to ask advice from.
The Polynesian Ice
Mm,
and the Tongan astronomy.
okay.
And I came to Tonga in 1986. I was thinking about the two people to go have ask for their advice. First, Futahelu, or go Tamai Futahelu. He's my uncle.
Hmm.
And second person, to Bo the fourth. That's,
The king of Tonga to Paul the Fourth, correct?
yeah.
And just so everybody understands that who is Futahelu, what's his background, right? And obviously he's your uncle, and you went to him, and then why did and explain that who Futahelu is, what his role is, and then also why you chose to go to the Fourth, and and that, just so people understand why you chose these two people,
I
and what their
chose
background is.
I chose Futahelu because Futahelu don't have a degree.
Oh, he doesn't? I thought he did. I mean, he had the university and everything, but no.
He went to school and carry everything, study
Mm,
everything. And he come to Tonga and start his own school,
okay.
his
A
own
university.
university.
Okay. So yeah, he's kind of like has an academic background, and so you went to speak to him. What why did you also go to Tupo the Fourth, the king,
I went to Futahelu because he did something about the same idea what I did.
the history?
And after I talked to him, I didn't take his advice because he was leaning on all the Palangis, foreigners' fury. And after that, in January 1986, after that,
Okay.
I went to Tupo the Fourth because that's my grandma Maria's first cousin, Tupo the Fourth.
So that would make you second cousins with him. What would he be? What would Tupo the Fourth be to you?
Kokuiaki,
Okay.
first cousin of Maria. And I look at the history, the last two Hatakalaua of Tonga.
Hmm.
That's my sixth great great grandfather.
Okay.
And the last two Tonga, uh, the last two Hatakalaua, I and the last three tonga is Laufiri Tonga. That's my fifth great. Eh?
Okay. So so you go to Futahelu because he's like a father figure, right? That a
Yeah.
father, like an uncle to you, and you're getting his advice from an academic perspective. Then you go to Tupo the fourth because he's like a grandfather type of relationship um, to you. And what were the differences in advice? Why did you? What was Futahelu's advice, and why did you not take it? And what was Tupo the fourth's advice? And did you take his advice, or did you choose your own? What was kind of the discussions there
Uh, I already disagree with
with Futa?
Futa's advice because he was more leaning on the foreigners academic.
Okay,
And when I went to Tupo the Fourth, I went with my dad and your mother.
okay. What was that conversation?
I
what did
asked
you ask him? Yeah.
for advice. I told him I work for to write books. Gave him my information, and after few days, and I went back to him after I know he read my information. And I went over there, and his advice, he said, Tonga, the government of Tonga is very poor, and the government of Tonga need help every ways. That's his advice.
Hmm.
And when I came back from him, that's when I registered the Polynesian Eyes Foundation
In Tonga.
in Tonga. And that's why I believe our history never written. Even we have it in our oral history for more than 3,000 years. The same thing. That's what is really hit me in my heart.
Hmm.
We have nothing in our origin history. They, the Palangi never come over and try to know what our people say about our history. They look down on us.
Yeah. Bunch of savages.
Yes, but they don't know. That's what I found today. I mean, I found Tonga have the longest kingdom in the history of the world. They said Japan have the longest, but not the kingdom. That's only a royal family.
Yeah, but not in power, and that's not the active civilization,
Yeah,
not
they
the
want
empire.
to put the king after the World War II, but New Zealand, American said in their constitution, no, you are
No
not
more.
going to be the king. You can use emperor.
So real quick, Dad, before we move on. So you go speak to the king. The king's advice is the way I understand it from what you're describing is the government is it doesn't have resources, but this is a work that's important, and if it's going to be done, you will have to carry that forward, right? Like
Yeah,
that's something that the king is inviting you and saying, you know what, this is an important work. It has to be done, but the government doesn't have the resources. No one has the resources, but he's basically saying you're going to have to pursue it if you want it to be of value to the people.
yeah. That's what I believe ko advice here e kukui.
Hmm.
Tonga need help every way. I came back, that's what I did. And I believe I was born to do it.
Yeah. So let's dig into that statement right there. What about your your background, your heritage, your family, which which makes you unique and brings something to the table that no one else brings. Um, because a lot of people will say, well, you don't have your PhD, you don't have the academics, which you don't, right? That's
Yeah.
that's fair. But what would be your response to say, yes, I don't have those things, but this is what I have, and this is what I bring to the table that you, Mr. PhD and Mr. Academia, that you don't bring to the table. That when you say, I believe I was born for this, obviously you're saying your heritage, your family, your background is unique. Help us understand why you say that and what's unique about you as an individual, and more importantly, your heritage, your ancestors, that makes you unique in bringing this history to the table.
I thought about it many times when I was young. I
Hmm.
questioned in my mind why I'm going to be buried on a langi when I die. All the Tuitongas buried in the langi.
Hmm.
All my grand and great and great and great come all the way up to my grandmother. See, my grandmother's brothers and sister and her mother buried on the langi by Farelotu, the chapel of the Wesleyan Church in
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 La
La
Paja,
Paz.
then yeah, yeah,
My grandmother was not buried there. She was buried where her father and her family, the Tuihatakalaus line on their
were buried.
Fale. Eh?
Mm.
Their name is Fale. That's where my grandmother buried there, with together with her uncles and her father,
All
her
her family
family
is over there. So
from
she
the
went to
very
be with her family.
yeah. It was in my mind for many years. Question that why?
So real quick, Dad. Let me do this. Um, because I think this is important for people to understand. Number one, explain what is a langi and what is a fale. Well, I'm gonna pull up something so we can look at where these ancestors of yours are buried. But what is a langi and what is a fale for people who aren't familiar with that?
Langi. That's what Langi. That's where yeah the Langi where Tatuitonga is his home. Eh?
Okay.
Was called Langi, and that's where Tatuitonga bury on the Langi. All the Tatuitonga bury on the Langi in La Paja. Fale. That's where the Tuihatakalaua bury at. That's
And it
where
looks like a langi, right? It's
yeah
built like a langi. It's a earth pyramid, but it has a different name because it's for a different lineage, a different kingly line. Correct?
yeah That's
And then,
something.
oh, go ahead, Dad.
That's something different of the Tuitonga and where their home. Eh? That's
Hmm.
Langi, and when they die, they bury on the Langi.
Yeah. And then the Tu'iha Takalaua, it's called Fale, and they live and get buried on the Fale. And then what is the Tu'i Kanukupolu's burial place called?
Malae.
Malae. And that's why Malae Kula is
Yeah,
called Malae Kula
the
Tupo
Tuikanupolo.
for the Tupo family, right?
Yeah,
Because they come from the Tuikanukupolu, which they're all the same family, but that's the line that they primarily carry, correct?
yeah.
Okay. So I have Google Earth here, Dad, and we'll start with, so what we're discussing right now is you're a young kid and you're sitting there and you're pondering. Obviously, you see other people get buried at a faitoka, and you're asking yourself, why am I going to be buried on a langi? And this is, so you can
Malmaloa.
see, yes. So this is Hoi right here. This is Talasiu, which is part of Mua. And this is the langi that you will be buried in, correct?
Yes,
This is why you're asking yourself, why am I going to be buried here?
yeah.
Because
That's
your father's here, your uncles are here. This is where your family is.
and the Tuitonga about in the 1500.
Okay. What's the name
That
of the Tuitonga that's here?
uh, Tapu Osi, I think.
Is Tapuoshi. Okay. And
Uh,
then,
that's the father. Uh, the Langi over there. His two sons, Telea, and the oldest son of the Tuitonga over there, he was, they were in Samoa because they're
mothers were someone.
from Samoa, two cousins from Samoa. And they were in Samoa, and when their father, uh, about getting close to die, and they sent a boat over there for the sons to come back
Tutonga.
to Tonga. The oldest son was his name was Whangaoneone, and the youngest son is Telea. That's by Telea, yeah,
Yeah, that's right here. So this is two other langis. That's Pai Pai Terea. These two.
yeah, and that's by Telea, and uh, the older brother didn't come until they sent the boat over there for him to come. Their father died. At Tuitonga died. And
Hmm.
he said, that boat, hanga he waka koe ni the boat, he waka koe ni, tai e kulata hi amoa. And he came to Tonga. And that's why our home over there where wakatalata at. Eh?
So that's the name, the origin of that name, which is pretty much all this back end property right here,
That's
right?
the whole property over there used to belong to our family.
When
But
you say
now,
this whole area right here.
yeah, go all
Okay.
the way up to Lolotava.
So from here all the way,
To
so let me zoom.
Lolotava.
We're basically saying all of this section right here.
Yeah,
Okay. And that's where that name
wakatalata means.
Pakatalata comes from.
Uh,
Okay.
and that when he come to Tonga, they already make the younger brother Telea become the Tuitonga, and
Tuitonga.
they gave the older brother a name. His name is uh, Lomu Eki. Eh?
Uh-huh.
Get Funny and Willie's house.
Right here.
Yeah. That piece of property stay in our family from the beginning. The whole area here.
Right here.
Yeah. The whole area was belonged to our family.
For
It
how
was
long?
from the 1500 all the way up until uh, Dad gave it to Funny and Willie.
Okay.
But he's the older brother of Terea.
There.
Yeah. And the name of our home, the whole area of Katalata. Eh?
Yeah. And so this basically we're talking about this whole section right here.
Yeah.
Vakatalata.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
And
that,
then you're saying right here, this langi, this is the Siaswesiana.
yeah.
This is the langi that other relatives are on, right?
Where's the Western Church?
Right here.
Yeah. This is right there.
So these two langis right here. And then
Uh,
you have the one, I think, is this is the one that Laufiri Tonga is on? This is
yeah.
the cemetery.
Yeah. Right there. That's where Laufilitonga.
Okay. So
Because
you have ancestors throughout all of the different langis throughout
in
Lapa.
Moa. Yeah.
Okay.
It was the question in my mind why
Yes.
that only all the lang in Lapahap belong to Kalaniwalo
Hmm.
and the father belong to Tungi family. That's the thing I know I have in my blood. No other PhD have that.
Yeah.
My degree in my blood. And I have to try to straight up the history of Tonga because that's my duty.
And the people and you have been exposed to this environment of learning the true history from the moment you were 4 years old, right?
Yeah,
Being with the elders and the leaders of the ancient capital of Tonga, and then and amongst your ancestors.
yeah. And like I said, Tupou Fourth was the first cousin. Eh? Ko
Hmm.
tufefine ofi tahaia o tupire hake pe mo Tupou Fa ko Maria. Nai lahi tamai a Maria ia, Unga was older than Tunge Marifihi.
That married Queen Salote.
Yeah, but Unga was not. Ko whaea a unga ia me e ua. Kanae o mai, they bring him and raise him.
Hmm.
The
In
Tungi
Mua.
family in Moa. But the law of Tonga, if they bring a son like that and raise him, has become the heir. And his uncle, Unga's uncle, asks
Who's Unga's uncle?
one of his uncle asks him, he can claim the
The
Tungi
title.
title.
Hmm.
And Unga told his uncle, you better shut up before I make a umu and bake you in it. Ta'o ko he umu.
Mm,
My brother is more important to me than the title.
mm. Yeah, these are the things that, like you said, money cannot buy that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So, your ancestors, what role do you think So that is part of your, your qualifications, and what makes you unique is the blood in your veins, the kariloa that you have been receiving within your family, and then also the tanoa with all the keepers of that knowledge. What would you say to people who say, well, I can just go and dig up pottery and do the read and reference the Palangi's version of our history? Why can't I take that path? Why is that path in your mind the incorrect path to declaring our history, and why the path that you bring is unique and provides a real account of the Tongan history?
Uh, Remember, for 1,000 years, our people said we came from Waihi, the faraway land.
Mm-hmm.
That's America. See, we have the name of America before the European have any name to America. And Maui, that's the Maya in Polynesian language.
So the word, the name Maui is in remembrance of Mayan.
Yeah, of Maya.
Okay.
And
Okay.
Tangaloa, the title from America. Do you know when have you can't get the Mayan, the Inca, the Toltecs picture have the mouth with the tongue,
Mm. Let
and
me
they
see if I
all
can. Let me see if I can pull it up.
yeah
Let me see if I can. I can pull it up here. So you're saying in that the so similar to like the Maori and all Polynesia, where they have the tongue sticking out. You're saying
yeah
that comes from there.
yeah. But that's what the first Tongan king title come from.
Okay. So let me keep talking that on anything you want to cover while I look up that picture.
Yeah, and that's Maui and Tangaloa right there and there.
So all we can see in all these
Tongue out,
Mayan, yeah,
Toltecs and all of
Mayan.
them, their
Okay,
oral history. That's the title Tangaloa come from.
because that's really what tanga means. It's like from
The
your
tongue.
mouth, the tongue.
Yeah, that's a long tongue. That's what the Tangaloa.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so we have Maui representing, that's a resemblance of the Mayan word, and obviously the knowledge, the astronomical knowledge, and then Tangaloa for the oral history, and that's seen throughout the Mayan and throughout the Americas, and also in the Pacific with the tongue being borne out. What else? Anything else you want to cover on that, Dad?
The they bring Maui and Tangaloa. They brought the culture from America to the Pacific. The mound builder
Mm.
and the gate of the sun, knowledge of astronomy.
So just for reference, so that like the Sun Gate
Yeah,
that is found throughout the Americas, which is all of these, right?
Yeah,
And you're saying that that is where
the Hamonga.
the Sun Gate in Tonga comes from,
Yeah.
right?
They don't have anything like that at the Melanesians or Taiwan or China.
And then coming back to
The mount.
yes. So that's basically what the Langis and all those are the chiefly mounds, but you also see that in just like right here, right? The scans in Tonga, where
Yeah.
they've found thousands upon thousands of man-made mounds all over
Yes.
Tonga,
That's all come
right
from
here. So right here,
Waihe.
like that, all the red that
Yeah.
we see is mounds all over Tongatapu. So we're not talking about 10, 15 mounds. We're talking about thousands and thousands of mounds.
Yes.
Okay, good. I just wanted to bring that up so people can see like what you're referencing and why this is an important part of our history that um, you have brought to the table. Anything else you want to go over on that, Dad?
Well, there's a lot of names in Waihe. All the old settlement and place in Waihe. The, our language and our food, but 80% of the food in the Pacific origin and our language origin from Waihe, America.
Mm,
It's not the Lapita poetry or Austronesians language. We have all the archaeology stuff and our culture.
yes.
We have kings all these years that's come from America. All the Polynesian islands, they used to have kings until the foreigners' countries take over their country.
Mm. On what? So 1986. Were you already talking about how Polynesians were navigators, master navigators at that point?
Yeah,
What was the response of Putahelu and the academics at that time? That what were they saying when you were telling them, Polynesians had you had already published Polynesian astronomy or Tongan astronomy, and a couple books on the constellations, and you had some maps. What was the general position of the academic and scientific world when you said that back in the 80s?
they believe it, but there's nothing they can do to the Palanga's theories because they have it in books. Our people have degrees from it. They also have degrees by themselves from the same Lapita theories. How can any Tongan doctor from history said, I don't believe Lapita after that? They have that degrees certificate from the Lapita.
Mm-hmm.
And who can do something different from that?
Yeah, I
I,
mean they have, whether it's the academic, the scientific, and even our Polynesian brothers and sisters who not only spent time and money to get their degrees in it, but many of them, that's how they pay their bills, right? Their whole life and their whole career is built around the Lapita theory. Um, but Polynesians, as the greatest navigators, from what I remember, that like in the 80s, nobody agreed that Polynesians could navigate.
That's they think that our people lost
Yeah, the wind
the
blew them.
knowledge, but no one can change it. Our people settle all the small islands in the middle of the oceans because they get the knowledge.
Let me ask this question. The academics thought that the knowledge was lost. How did you obtain that knowledge, and how did you verify that knowledge, Dad?
They no one have any map
Yeah.
of the stars. But when I know from the old boys about the road of Maui and the road of Tangaloa,
Yeah.
that's the key for navigation.
Can you explain to everyone, because I think that's important, Dad, and these are the things that I don't think anyone has explained and expressed this, that what is the road of Tangaloa and what is the road of Maui, and what are those specifically, and why are they the key to understanding how to navigate literally around the globe?
Hala or road
Hmm.
of Tangaloa. In Tonga, when someone talk about the sun, do you know who is the son of Tonga? Because La'a o Tonga,
No,
the king.
the king. Okay,
Eh?
so Tangaloa.
Yes. Today's history, the king is representing when someone make a speech and say about the La'a o Tonga, eh?
Hmm.
They means the king. That's the same thing in Waihi. The king, the king of Waihi in the past represent the sun, exactly like Tonga. Eh? And the road of Tangaloa is mean the equator. That's the road of the sun, the equator.
Okay, so
And
Tangaloa's road is the equator because the sun
travel,
moves along the equator.
yeah. And Maui's uh, road is uh, the Milky Way, the Kaniva.
Okay,
And they
just
know
keep.
this. They know the stars from how the Kaniva is the not N. The long they used to say hala lo loa peku ke ngata ia. Ai hala laa, mo
Mm,
hala ai hala tangaloa, mo hala maui.
okay.
Eh? It just turn with the seasons. How can where did I get that? From put together all the boys, the old guys' stories. That's the problem with the Polynesian history because they are all in fananga or stories. And no one can put it together except us Polynesians if you think like a Polynesian. That's why the Polynesian eyes are different from the
Mm,
foreigner's eyes because the words, one words have many meaning in Tongan, and plus Samoan make it worse. Tahitians, Hawaiian. How can a Palangi trace these things?
yeah. Is so that is the origin of the idea or the concept of Polynesian ice, Dad,
Yes,
which is the design that you developed. It's to express that it is only through Polynesian eyes and understanding the history and the knowledge of our ancestors that you can unlock the truth about our history and our people.
yes. And another meaning, that's Hikuleo's eyes, the god.
Mm,
It's not only one meaning. Like I said, the Palangis, they say something, they stay over there. But in the Polynesian, one word's how many meaning?
mm,
In Tongan, it's different in Samoan, Tahitian, Hawaiian. See, the more and more this, who can put it together? It's
okay.
only a Polynesian as can say it. And God Hikuleo. See, even Hikuleo, our people said that's the God of the spiritual world. Eh? He-
Hmm.
Pulotu. Where is Pulotu? And when they asked it to a Polynesian from the past and even today, they said Pulotu tu now tuhu now tolu ki he wesi te, and everybody thinks it's Fiji. There's no place in Fiji, Pulotu. That's the spiritual world.
Yeah.
Few people ask me, can I ask again, where can I, how can I explain Pulotu? Even my brother, Tevita, uh, professor in PYU Hawaii, asked me, the people sail to Pulotu and people sail from Pulotu, sail back from Pulotu. Who can come back from Pulotu? You don't get over there until you die. When you die, you are gone.
One way trip. One way trip.
Yes. And some people explain Purotu, Hikuleo is sister of Maui and
Tangalo.
Tangaloa. No, Maui and Tangaloa, they were human.
They
Purotu,
weren't. They weren't gods.
yes,
The only god was Hikuleo.
yes. And some people, how can they know that's the sister of Maui and Tangaloa?
Yeah. Real quick, that just so that people can reference this. This is what you're talking about, right? So the equator, as the
Yes,
sun moves from east to west, that is Tangaloa's road,
yeah.
right? And then the Milky Way, that's Maui's road. And literally, those are the two keys to navigate around the entire Earth
Uh,
and
day,
understanding the
day
constellations
and
and the
night.
movement, day and night.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that just as a reference right here, so people can reference it. Um, I put that in there.
And how can you go to Poroto if you're not dead? If you wanna go to Poroto, let someone kill you and you go to Poroto.
And then
But
you wait
they,
for me in Pulotu because you're not gonna come back.
yeah, I see they name places and people to Poroto. It doesn't mean there's a place in Fiji, Poroto. if that's only one way trip. It's not. It was kind of funny sometimes when someone get on Facebook and ask me, like Tevita, professor, asked me, but why people, where? The people said, some people said they sailed to Pulotu and some people sail back from Pulotu. There's no way for you to die and come back.
No, I think that's important. I think that's what the perspective that you bring to our history. I think that's important. I think you bring a a Polynesian perspective through the Polynesian eyes, through Hikule'o's eyes, on the history of our people. And I really think that is where we need to start. In my perspective, is listen to our ancestors and what they said, the correct history and the correct origins on where we come from. And I'm excited, Dad, because this is the beginning. We're gonna have a series where we'll discuss, go into detail about, who was Tangaloa, who was Maui, all the different parts of our culture and the history that you have been able to piece together by listening to our ancestors and what they testify, that where we come from Vaihi, and how we can connect, and not have others dictate to us what our history is, and really bring our ancestors back to the forefront. Any closing thoughts, Dad? I think this will be a good. We'll probably break it into two parts. Um, and have two parts to this interview. But any kind of thoughts, last words on what you hope to achieve in these interviews and in the series, and what your life work and what stage you are in your work. You've spent 40 plus years of collecting and researching and building, and how you envision the next phase of your work here, that you spoke with um, Tupo the Fourth, and that you have carried that work for your people and for your ancestors. Dad.
That's something I look at it. You have to be crazy to do what I did. Work for my heart and my dream, but I know God gave me that talent to do that. And I spend all my time, all these years, travel back and forth, do all the thinking about our history. And when I look at you guys, we're not that bad. You guys still have education, and I think we are doing better than a lot of people that don't do anything. Even I spend all my times working for our country.
Yeah,
And I think there's no one that crazy. Like I said, God gave me the talent and He blessed our family. We're not hungry. We're still alive.
we haven't gone to Pulotu yet. And with that said, Dad, I appreciate your time. Look forward to continuing this series. Like I said to all of our listeners, the we waited to have any other interviews with anyone else, um, because really the origin and the context for This podcast, as you can see, the logo was designed by Tevita Fale, and maybe we'll take an opportunity to break down the design of the logo. He's built the concept. He has a foundation. We're going to continue to build, and really the series, we're going to just have specific topics that we can dive deeper. Like, for example, we can have more conversations on Tangaloa, where he lived, and who these people are. They're not like he shared. Tangaloa is not a god. He was a man. He had a title, and we can dive deeper into those things just like Maui. But with that being said, we appreciate it, Dad, for your time, and we look forward to continuing the series. And we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.